a generation anointed for awakening. By the mid-20th century, America stood trembling at a crossroads. The new Pharaoh still ruled, but his grip weakened each year. His walls cracked, his throne shook. And in those cracks, the Father planted prophets, not kings, not generals, not wealthy reformers, but ordinary image bearers whose spirits carried ancient fire. They rose from sanctified churches, cotton fields, city streets, barber shops, quiet classrooms, northern tenements, southern shacks, and the deep wounds of a nation split against itself. The Father stirred their hearts. The shadow felt the trembling before the first march ever began. For the prophets were coming. I, Martin, the dreamer who spoke in thunder. Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as a voice Pharaoh could not silence. He was young, human, flawed, but chosen. The Father uses obedience, not perfection. Martin preached a love that confronted darkness, a justice that uprooted systems, a freedom that God himself authored. His words cut through Pharaoh's illusions like lightning through smoke. He marched with no weapon but truth, faced mobs with no shield but faith, stood before presidents with no fear but God. And every time he spoke, the shadow trembled, for through Martin, the light remembered how to roar. I, Rosa, the quiet flame that ignited a revolution. Before marches and speeches, there was a seamstress on a bus. Rosa Parks carried the ancient dignity of her ancestors, the kind Pharaoh could not extinguish when she sat and refused to move. She did not resist a seat, she resisted Pharaoh's throne. Her quiet defiance thundered across centuries. I am God's creation. I will not shrink for a system built on lies. The shadow never expected such a revolution, to begin with a woman who simply stayed in her seat. But light often arrives quietly, before it arrives triumphantly. Rosa was the spark. The world became the flame. I.V. Malcolm, the sword the light was not supposed to have. Then came Malcolm X, the sharp one, the thunder, the unfiltered conscience of the oppressed, where Martin offered redemption. Malcolm offered reckoning. He spoke truths America buried, named evils America denied. Loved his people fiercely, so fiercely the shadow feared him. The shadow tried to twist his passion, to distort his fire, but Malcolm grew, traveled, awakened, shed illusions like old skin. And just when he reached the height of his transformation, when he began to see unity where he once saw division, the shadow struck him down, but the sword he carried remained in the earth, waiting for the next generation to lift it. We children of light marching in the streets. The civil rights movement was not political alone. It was spiritual war. Every march was a pilgrimage, every boycott a baptism, every sit-in a prophetic declaration. When children walked toward angry mobs with lunchboxes, light marched in innocence. When elders prayed as police unleashed dogs and fire hoses, light marched in endurance. When singers lifted freedom songs in jail cells, light marched in harmony. When entire communities walked miles rather than ride segregated buses, light marched in unity. The streets became sanctuaries, the pavement became altars, the world became witness. For the first time in centuries, the children of light were not just surviving, they were rising. Fee Pharaoh's last fury, the new Pharaoh panicked, he unleashed police brutality, assassinations, church bombings, infiltrators, propaganda, smear campaigns, federal surveillance, COINTELPRO, Pharaoh's hidden arm moved like a serpent in government halls. Its mission, if you cannot break the movement, break the leaders. The shadow struck. Martin, Medgar, the children of Birmingham, each attack was meant to end the awakening, but instead it multiplied it. For every prophet Pharaoh killed, 10,000 voices rose in their place. The light refused to die. Via the law bends toward justice. Eventually, Pharaoh's legal fortress cracked. The Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, desegregation rulings. federal protections, victories written in blood, sealed by martyrs, signed by reluctant hands, compelled by justice. But laws cannot cleanse the shadow, systems adapt, structures shift. Pharaoh retreats, but only into new disguises. The civil rights era ended one chapter of bondage and opened another. The age of hidden chains. Heed what this chapter sets in motion. This chapter prepares the rise of Black consciousness, anti-colonial revolutions, the global fight against racism, the rebuilding of Pharaoh into mass incarceration, the Cold War's manipulation of civil rights, new political identities across the world, the shift from visible oppression to systemic oppression. For the light marched, and the were.